Hey guys, James for Justice here. Today we're going to talk about the one big secret to criminal justice reform that is not getting enough attention. And as a defense attorney who's been working in the criminal justice system for 20 years now, and after experiencing the criminal justice system after being accused of different crimes when I was a teenager, I firmly believe that there is one critical, crucial, key secret to criminal justice reform that I don't hear anybody talking about. So I want to talk about it today here with you. Criminal justice reform is being bantered about when there's so much change, there's so many problems in the criminal justice system today in the United States and in other countries that we have to start grappling with some deeper issues that are foundational to what is broken or what may be corrupt in our current criminal justice system. But one of those big problems is what I see when I have to look at myself in the mirror as a criminal defense attorney and ask myself, am I doing my very best for each and every one of my clients when I go to court and represent that person against a serious felony charge or a low-level misdemeanor charge? Am I treating each and every client with respect, with dignity, as a human being who has a story, who has challenges just like the rest of us, instead of someone who just gets treated like another case number in the legal system? What am I doing as a criminal defense attorney to make the legal system work better for all of the people who are most affected by it? People accused of crimes, people convicted of crimes, people sometimes wrongfully convicted of crimes, people who are exonerated from crimes that they did not commit. We see all of these different issues in the criminal justice system when we start to think about things such as exonerations, which is an innocent person wrongfully convicted who is exonerated of that conviction and released after maybe a year, after maybe a decade, sometimes after many decades in prison for something that person did not do. When we just begin to really think about that individual person who is wrongfully accused and wrongfully convicted and wrongfully imprisoned, we can start to get closer to what that secret is of true criminal justice reform that I'll share here in a few minutes. I think it's so important that we as criminal defense attorneys learn something from these people who have had their convictions overturned and they've been exonerated of the crime that they allegedly committed. These justice clinics, the innocence clinics throughout the country and throughout the world are doing great work at exposing wrongful convictions. But what I've grappled with more and more as I've studied exonerations is this challenging question to myself as a criminal defense attorney: what am I doing to ensure that no one is wrongfully convicted of a crime? What am I doing each and every day to ensure that whether it's a low-level misdemeanor or a serious felony charge, that nobody falls through the cracks of the criminal justice system, that nobody is treated unfairly, that nobody's treated like an animal in this cattle call that we often hear when we go to court? What am I doing to make the criminal justice system work better? We have this legal system that is an adversarial legal system made up of prosecutor and defense attorney and judge, who is supposed to be the referee between the two adversaries, just like a football game, just like a baseball game, a hockey game, a basketball game, a volleyball game, you name it. It's the game of the law. And when I go to court and I look around at my brother and sister counsel and how they're handling their cases, not to judge them, but to just observe and to learn, there are times where I would be shocked if that person was representing my family member, or if that person was representing my friend, to see what kind of work or lack of work is being done for the people that other defense attorneys represent. It can be shocking at times. The lack of care, the lack of respect, the apathy. When we get to apathy in the legal system among us in the criminal defense bar, we have a major problem. Whether you are court appointed or being paid for your services, it's so vital to first and foremost remember that individual that is being accused of a crime is an individual human being with dignity and requires respect. And if we as defense attorneys, who are the primary protectors against injustice, the frontline workers in the legal system to protect against wrongful convictions and injustice, if we are not doing our job to be the heroes in that person's life, then who will? Will it be another attorney down the road to pull up that file after the person's been wrongfully convicted and imprisoned for years to realize that this was actually an unjust conviction, a wrongful conviction, after that person who's been wrongfully convicted is penned up in a cage for years, decades? Why not look at ourselves as criminal defense attorneys to take our practice up a notch, up several notches, whatever the case may be, primarily to protect those people we work with as the accused, the defendants. Since we are in an adversarial system, we are the ones who have to compete against the prosecutors, the district attorneys, the U.S. attorneys. And if we're not sharpening our skills, honing our abilities, strengthening our techniques, our strategies, then we are likely going to be outgunned and beat by the prosecutors, the DAs, the U.S. attorneys. But if, on the other hand, we take time to strengthen ourselves, strengthen our team as the defense bar, learn new skills and techniques and strategies, and focus in on doing all of the things we do for that one individual that we're representing at that one point in time who matters, then that is when we will see true criminal justice reform. Because it is so easy and so tempting, whether it's criminal justice reform or banking reform, to think that someone else will take care of it. To think that it's somebody else's job who's a leader in the banking industry, as an example, to change things. Not me, who runs or manages this banking branch. The same is true for us. It happens all the time. It's happened to me for years and years and years, and still I started to realize that I was either a weak link in the justice system or a strong link, either making it better or letting it fall apart. And it's so tempting, because it's built into our human nature for some reason, to simply think that something like criminal justice reform is somebody else's job, will happen out there. It's not my responsibility. I'm just one small individual trying to get by, trying to raise my family, trying to take care of my law practice. But what I have discovered after 20 years in the criminal justice system, and again, as I said, even as a young man, going through the criminal court system, representing myself and actually getting my case dismissed, after which the police officer walking out of the courthouse yells at my father and I because we won this case that he had improperly charged me with. Human nature is fraught with all sorts of problems, and because the criminal justice system is run by human beings, it's going to be fraught with all sorts of problems. But each and every point of contact in the criminal justice system that you and I as defense attorneys have is what will change it, is what will reshape it, is what will rehumanize it, is what will reform it. And if the criminal defense bar as a whole, throughout the country, throughout the world, took up our sense of responsibility and took up our practice a notch or 2 or 5 or 10 to really go out there and compete against the prosecution for the sake of our clients. Whether we know they have done something wrong or not, we also know there are so many layers beneath their choices, their actions, struggles in poverty or poor upbringing or lack of a father, or with so many young African American citizens, their father was in prison while they were children. And once they become adults, they end up following the same path. So many different ways that human beings are broken in the criminal justice system that we, I believe, have the responsibility to try to fix and mend and bring healing and bring protection, to be heroes in someone's life, just like police officers and firefighters and soldiers can be heroes to protect the innocent. We can be heroes to protect the innocent as well as the accused, to protect their dignity, to make sure that if they in fact violated the law, they are held accountable in an appropriate and circumspect manner that can help them become better people in the future, not just cage them up for years on end. Lock them away, throw them away from society. Why not put more effort into trying to help people become better citizens instead of just locking them in cages? There's so many ways that you and I as criminal defense attorneys can effect true and lasting criminal justice reform, and it's my deep belief that it is up to you and I, starting here, right here, looking at myself in the mirror, to make it my responsibility, my mission, to effect justice reform, because I'm the practicing attorney whose priority is to protect my clients, to protect them, their rights, both constitutional and legal, but also their basic fundamental human rights, to be treated with dignity, so that they can work through whatever their challenging situation is that brought them into the criminal justice system and make it through with dignity and some sense of pride and hope that whether they do need to spend some time in prison or not, they can still believe in themselves and have hope of a future that is full of optimism, so that they can actually become better people. That, at the end of the day, is true and lasting criminal justice reform. When you and I, the defense attorneys, the defense bar, take our job, our mission seriously to protect individuals, to restore hope in them so that they can make better choices, so that we can be sure that exonerations are a thing of the past. If there's no wrongful convictions, there's no need for exonerations. Let's make exonerations a thing of the past. Let's make sure no innocent people are convicted of a crime by caring enough to protect for each and every one of our clients. Whether we like that person or not, whether they've paid us a lot of money or not, whatever the case may be, they are entitled to our protection. That is our oath. That is our promise. Let's fulfill that. And that is the secret to lasting criminal justice reform. So let's begin to do that today. Let's do it. Let's fight for justice and fight for criminal justice reform right now.